Senator Heitkamp.
Mr. Chairman, first let me thank my good friend Senator Warren from Massachusetts for letting me bump in line. I have to go preside at noon, but I wanted to make the point, in case you guys haven't figured that out from my letters and my discussions with you, I really care about small community banks. They are the lifeblood, the capital lifeblood for the many, many people in the great state of North Dakota. And I know we consistently talk about the need for reform, the need for look back, the need to have a very directed discussion about the regulatory responsibilities and how that is affecting community banks. I would like to be able to go back to my independent community banks and tell them when there is going to be regulatory relief enacted. And I know there's always a lot of swirl and a lot of talk, but I share Senator Crapo's discussion, and so I'm curious about time frame, because they're making decisions today. And what started out to be too big to fail has become, for many of these community banks, too small to succeed. They are moving out of lending in certain areas as a result of what they perceive to be massive regulatory burden. And so if we're going to stem the tide of dissolution of that portion of their business because of compliance burdens, we need to offer a time frame. And so I am curious to anyone who can tell me when we'll actually get an answer to small community banks on regulatory relief.
Senator, from an FFIEC perspective, where we're coordinating the federal banking agency's GRIPRA process, that is already underway. We have put out for comment a series of rules and regulations. That comment period closed. There will be 2 more. So we are programmatically reviewing the regulations that are under our authority to make those judgments that you're asking us to do, to recommend or to eliminate those rules and regulations under our control. An important part of this process, as I mentioned earlier, we are going to have direct input from community bankers. We've asked them to identify those areas where the most pressing need of change and how we can go about doing that.
That doesn't answer the question about time. Maybe
this is the statute requires a fairly lengthy review process, but we intend to do it as quickly as possible and to have either action taken under our own independent rulemaking or to make recommendations to Congress.
Mr. Torello?
Senator, I just comment, sometimes people, when they talk about regulatory burden, they lump together 2 sets of things. One is actual legislative or regulatory requirements, Code of Federal Register type requirements. The second thing, which Senator Manchin and maybe Senator Warner, several of you have referred to already today, is somebody called it quite aptly, the trickle-down effect of supervisory practices. Mm-hmm. And we don't have to wait for a formal process to do something about that. I mean, I think Tom met with the same group yesterday of small bankers. They were a very good group, and the reason I thought they were a particularly good group is they came in with specifics. They came in with specifics that they said, look, here's a way in which some articulated supervisory expectation is, we think, not appropriate for us, creating a problem for us, and we kind of think it's trickling down. And in some cases, I think they were right. It was good for our staff to be there to hear it, as we've done with groups of small community bankers in the past. We got a list of action items to follow up on. So although the Agrippa process is kind of formalized, I think, and I suspect same thing's going on at the OCC and the FDIC, that we can be constantly in a process of trying to change current practices. And if you do it even at the request of a small number of smaller banks, the benefits of that can proliferate. I do think in the end we do have this problem of we've got thousands of examiners. And it's hard to get them all coordinated without bringing all the decisions to Washington, which none of us wants to do.
And I'm running out of time. I have a couple more questions I'll submit for the record with the agreement of the chairman. But just back to this, there is nothing like certainty. I mean, there can be promises that this is how and what's going to happen in a bank audit, and don't worry about this. But they'll worry about it. And they'll worry about compliance burdens because the cost of not being in compliance is so high that just the risk will cause those banks to retreat from the market. And I don't think that is in the best interest of this country, and it certainly isn't in the best interest of my state. And so thank you for elevating this to one of your top concerns. I understand all of the great burdens that you all have in making sure that we don't have systemic failure. But again, what was too big to fail has become too small to succeed, and we need to fix that problem.